First of all, thank you for the opportunity to expose the problems of the forest territory of Spain, and apologies for my rusty English, despite which I felt that this was necessary to be here in this network, because it's a great opportunity to promote a change that benefits our forests, our rural communities linked to forests, and with it to all its society. In this slide 1, I wanted to put you in my land. No? I was born 22 years old ago in my mother's bed in my little town, and I studied forest engineering, and I came back. I was an exception because nobody came back, nobody returned to the towns when you go out to study. And now I'm the mayor of a small forest town, Corella, the same town I was born. Is located in the most sparsely populated region in Europe, just 2 inhabitants per square kilometer. And the mountain forest towns in Spain are owners of forests that are under the first figure of protection that was promoted in the mid-19th century, called Catalogue of Public Utility Forest. The state assumed the forest management, and thousands of jobs linked to its management were created and opportunities in the territory. But when in the early 80s, these management powers were transferred from the state to the regional governments, forest management was relegated by natural protection figures imported above all from United States, maybe. And thousands of these jobs linked to the forest disappeared. These small towns are on the brink of disappearance, despite the fact that they are immensely rich in forest heritage, but they are in the most perverse economic poverty. It's one of the greatest social injustices of today. In the slide 2, in this slide, we can check how the population is concentrated in non-forest areas. This fact is not seen important and is normal as remote areas, mountain areas, but the problem became when we had the maps of per capita income and perception of cap funds. And again coincide. So these areas richest in resource are those with the highest social poverty. And why is that? In the slide 3, this one, you can see these 3 maps, and you can see the forest map, the population map, and the light pollution. And I put here, no? The deep necessary and cultural link between local populations and forests is in danger, but it's necessary. And this can compromise the future of our forest. The population linked to the forests have been invisible for political decisions, and this has led to the loss of opportunities, and with them to the population, which has meant the loss of ancestral knowledge linked to the forest, and our forests are at serious risk right in this age of climate change. The local communities linked to the forest are essential custodians for its conservation. In slide 4, I wanted to show you a little diagram and simple that you can see the cities, you can see the forest, you can see the towns linked to the forest, and you can see the services that forest give to the cities. And what is the ideal? Local communities are linked to the forest, provide ecosystem service, and the cities that reside them support and compensate these local communities for the service provided. I mean carbon capture, sustainable products, etc. But what is the current reality? In the slide 5, is the imbalance that endangers our forests. That is the reality. The balance has been lost. Our forests cannot even access carbon markets, neither regulated nor free. And we have to decide if we want forest, live forest, with future, forests with future, or we want ashes. Anyway, the territory, these little towns linked to the forest cannot continue being the submissive and cheap rental boom of the cities. In the slide 6, I wanted to show you all the things we are doing here in this little town with 200 inhabitants. And we are aware that from this small town, Orea, the world cannot be changed, but it's essential that local communities are empowered. That is why Orea have been promoting national forestry congresses for years, consortiums to promote research, networking, through welcoming towns for digital nomads, being in the mountain executive with the forestry committee at national level, being part of the network of towns from Setiberia, etc. No? And in the slide 7, I wanted to show you 2 projects, big projects improved from Orea, that are Go Pro Rural. It's a national project, is from an operative group is founded by the Agriculture Ministry, which has investigated the quality of wood and possible business linked to the forest industry, such as construction beams, frost laminate, CLT, heat-treated wood, floors, and don't forget that these little towns linked to the forest in Spain were very industrial towns with factories adapted to the territory. For example, in Orea, there was in the past a cloth factory with sheep's wool, an iron foundry that used Scotch pine wood that was able to reaching the 1,200 degrees necessary for its casting, a glass factory, wood sawmills, carpentry, etc. Now it's all gone. And another project is From the Forest to Your Home, which has obtained 2 million euros in financing from the Ecological Transition Ministry, which we cannot carry out because we need a bank warranty for advancement. But this is the reality of the territory, and we haven't the necessary tools to work for our future. In the slide 8, here you can see the like here, and in the next slide, please. Yes, here you can see. Wow, how nice. Well, in Spain, we could say that is the mother of the land. Our cattle are necessary for the forest, but the CAP hasn't recognized pastures under trees. And this lack of recognition of pastures under trees makes generational change difficult, worsens the health of our forest, and creates many social conflicts in the allocation of pastures to local farmers. We have cattle of sheep, goat, and cow livestock. The sheep made transhumance, walking to Andalusia 600 kilometers on foot, 21 days walking, and which are also not recognized in the CAP and have serious problems with the activation of pastures. The cows also transhumance, but in trucks, and the goats are more resistant, so they remain all the year in the mountains of Orea, which are between 1,500 and 2,000 meters of altitude. So in the slide 9, I wanted to give a few conclusions now that is necessary. Empowerment of local communities linked to the forest. For decades in Spain, being from a rural village has been a stigma. Rural people were turned into social pariahs, and the image of the rural world was ridiculed. It still exists in the collective imagination that living in a rural town is a failure. A useful people must be in a city. Second, research, innovation, and investment to preserve these communities and to create opportunities for our women. Today's women are more educated and qualified than young men. And we need to create job opportunities for them because they are the future of the rural world. 3, there has to be a recognition of ecosystem and services economically and socially towards these communities, such as recognition of extensive livestock farming as a key element for the conservation of forests, and the inclusion of pastures under trees in the CAP for mountain areas, inclusion forest in carbon markets, and recognition of local population as necessary custodians of forest. And 4, it's extremely necessary to reactivate forest management because right at this time of climate change, we have the most vulnerable forest in our history. The territory is watching with extreme concern the impulse of protect 30% of the planet, not because the fact, but because of the vision of conservation linked to not touching and not intervening. The planet doesn't need us. We are the ones who have to understand the symbiotic dynamics that have existed between humans and forest and protecting. By the way, still exists in a small mountain village around the world, these symbiotic links between population and forest. So the future of humanity depends on it. Thank you very much.